And welcome back to Stadium Court here at the AVP Pro Series Fort Lauderdale Open. Next up will be men's contender bracket action. Tim Bomgren and Piotr Marciniak taking on Timothy Brewster and Kyle Friend. Let's throw it down to our on-court announcer, Mark Schurman, with the introduction of our players.
And it is go time. Let's meet the teams of our next match here on Stadium Court. This first guy out of Poland originally, but now here in Port St. Lucie of Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear for the blocker, Mr. Piotr Marciniak. Yeah, we got some Piotr fans. We got some Piotr fans. And Piotr's partner, it is, you know what? Find a guy that's harder to root against. I have tried to root against this next guy, and it just, my mind doesn't let me. I just automatically start rooting for him again. Out of Woodbury, Minnesota, he is Timmy Bomgren. So likable. Two players on the AVP Tour come from the sunny South Bay, went to Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks, California, then went down to UCLA. One of those players is Zanamuno. One of those players is coming out right now in his first ever Pro Series event on the AVP Tour. Let me hear it for Tim Brewster. And his partner, from just about an hour, maybe just under an hour, up A1A in Boca Raton, ladies and gentlemen, he is my friend. He's your friend. He's everybody's friend. He is Kyle Friend.
Thanks for that introduction, Mark. As our players get some formalities taken care of here, handshakes on the net. Dane, what do you expect to see here in this match? You have youth versus experience here. Should be a good one.
Well, I love this matchup right now. It's 12 versus 13. Both these teams suffered a loss yesterday, and they're looking to bounce back. For some of these players, this is where their tournaments start. You know, it's do or die. You win, you advance. You lose, you go home. And like you said, the youngster, Timothy Brewster, I can't wait to watch him do his thing out here. And then Tim Bomgren on the other side of the net, one of my favorite players, one of the most dynamic players to play the game.
Whoa.
That certainly should be an entertaining one, as you see the two Tims, both left-handed volleyball players. Brewster, the left-handed defender. And this is our first look at Tim Bomgren. And there's a big swing from the young lefty Brewster off of a great hand set from his partner, Kyle Friend.
Yeah, big high set right there, giving Brewster time to get in, gather, and then reach. You see his southpaw lefty swing really looks good, and he's really contacting it high.
And there's a great first serve from Kyle Friend, getting the service ace down the middle from the good side.
It's going to be a huge determining factor of this one. Who attacks the end line aggressively, and coming right out of the gate is Friend.
To the outside and then outside.
Bomgren and Marciniak going with a little bit of speed on that offense, but Piotr missing his first attack wide. And you see Kyle Friend getting a couple of block touches there up at the net. He's a little undersized for a blocker these days at about 6'4", 6'5", former outside hitter. Played his college volleyball at Long Beach State. And it's his second service ace right there off the trickler.
Yeah, you'll take it. When you're aggressive, good things start to happen. And Kyle Friend really going for it from the back line, up 4-1. Couldn't ask for a better start.
But Marciniak comes right back with his attack from the right side.
Yeah, there's a high set right there by Bomgren. We saw earlier the tempo. You're going to see a lot of different offenses from Bomgren and Marciniak. A lot of different tempos, trying to throw the block off and the defense off.
Kyle Friend calling for a wide outside set that time, even from the tough side of the wind, but gets the ball to drop on that cut shot. Takes us to our first side switch. As you see, some notes there on Bomgren and Marciniak, only their 4th AVP event together as partners, finishing with a 9th in Austin and New Orleans earlier this season. Some interesting dynamics in this match, Dane, as Marciniak resides in Florida. Kyle Friend, born and raised in Florida. Bomgren with a nice one-handed stab dig, but Marciniak can't play it out of the net, and that is a good hard-fought point for Brewster and Friend.
Yeah, maybe one of the best rallies so far early in this first set, and we're getting a good look at Friend and Brewster, the dynamic, the athleticism.
Pressing over for the block. Needed that one, Marciniak.
Golden opportunity there for Brewster and Friend, but Marciniak shuts down that quick set.
Really like that block. He steps up, face up, and then at the last second, Marciniak dropping into the angle for the block.
There's a big swing from well off the net. Finds the floor for Tim Brewster. He said earlier, this is his first AVP Pro Series event. A buzz around Tim Brewster and his defensive efforts. That time a good swing for their 7th point. And Kyle Friend is there with that late jump into the angle.
Yeah, Bomgren trying to bomb that one cross court at the last second. The set was a little bit inside, and that gave the advantage to Friend as he stuffs that ball straight down.
Now everything going in favor of Brewster. Friend, nice defense off of another tough serve by Kyle Friend. And they score another real point from the bad side.
Yeah, this is a very surprising start right here. You know, last week I saw Marciniak and Bomgren going up against Frischman and Noah Dyer, one of the best matches that I saw from the athleticism. Bomgren flying in the backcourt and doing his thing. Doesn't seem like Bomgren and Marciniak have gotten any traction here. Brewster and Friend have kind of kept them out of their game thus far, and they're going to have to turn this thing around before it's too late.
Here's a quick glance at our athlete analytics, how much running they've done, distance covered, how many jumps. Their highest jump, 24 inches for both sides. Block jumps in favor of Kyle Friend. Some of the more exciting dynamics that we're trying to bring to the viewers here, some extra data and analytics here from Stadium Court. So Bomgren and Marciniak calling an early timeout here in set number 1, trying to weather this really fast start by Kyle Friend and Tim Brewster.
Yeah, I think they're a little bit shell-shocked, Bomgren and Marciniak. Didn't expect this one to start so quickly on the other side of the net, so they're just trying to settle in and get things going, and they find themselves with a 6-point deficit.
Defensive effort from Brewster. 2 digs so far in this rally. Wow, what a rallying effort from both sides. Multiple digs, a self-cover, a set over on 2, and then a hitting error from Bomgren.
Yeah, Bomgren not happy about it. He's going over and to have a discussion with the head referee, and this may be kind of that cagey move of slowing things down after a very long rally that came up short for Bomgren and Marciniak. There's got to be some frustration by the body language. You can tell that one took a lot out of them, and they just can't get any traction so far, Matt.
Well, that was always one of my favorite strategies. Try to slow down the pace by going over and talking to the referee or cleaning off your sunglasses. But you're right. Bomgren and Marciniak really trying to weather this fast start by Friend and Brewster. There's a good response by Tim Bomgren with that attack down the line.
Bomgren and Marciniak coming off a loss yesterday to the Taylors, Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander, and that was in straight sets, 21-19, 21-12 in the second one. So, you know, they have gotten off to slow starts before, but they cannot afford it here on a Saturday in the contenders bracket, or they will have an early trip home.
So Marciniak will get us back to action after that side switch. Misses with the serve off the tape and wide from the bad side. That doesn't help their cause, and it's 11-4 Brewster and Friend here in set number 1. Brewster getting his hands on another attack, but just out of reach for Kyle Friend.
Yeah, Brewster, really solid defensive player. Remember, he's just 22 years of age, so just starting out for Brewster, and this must be exciting for him.
There's a big serve from Tim Bomgren right down the middle. Catches the inline for an ace. Native of Woodbury, Minnesota is Tim Bomgren. Not too many professional beach volleyball players coming from that state. Nonetheless, Tim and his brother Brian really coming out onto the tour back in 2013 and making some noise.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about the Bomgrens is their athleticism. They're in fantastic shape, and their effort and hustle is really unmatched. The way that they go for it every single time, and look at this little joust up at the net. Marciniak gets a second opportunity and just lights this one up. A very sharp angle. Brewster can't handle that one.
There's a hitting error from Brewster on the good side, so perhaps Bomgren and Marciniak testing out Brewster's sort of wherewithal here at his first time playing on Stadium Court in an open Pro Series event.
Sharp ball, that looks like it's just out. Bomgren starting to chip away, and that's what, you know, a KG veteran does. They don't panic when things go wrong, as they have in this early part of the first set, but they just play their game, and that's what you're seeing here with Bomgren and Marciniak. Really calm, really collected, and they're going to chip away at the youngster Brewster.
Two of the most seasoned veterans on the AVP Pro Tour is Tim Bomgren and Fyodor Marciniak, as Kyle Friend gets the side out over the block and down, and that brings us to our 21-point technical timeout here in set number 1.
This is the Terramana match of the day. Terramana small batch tequila crafted From Highlands Agave, not that Lowlands Agave, Highlands Agave.
So after back-to-back hitting errors from Brewster, Kyle Friend gets the side out as we take a glance at our statistics there for a second, but
come enjoy Carolina tequila right here.
Here they are. Dane, what do you take away from some of these statistics here halfway through set number 1?
Well, you know, what really jumps off the stat sheet is the low percentage for both teams, right? 214, the highest percentage, that coming from Brewster and Friend. Only 111 hitting efficiency for Bomgren and Marciniak. So aside from that, everything about even. Blocks 1-to-1, aces 2-to-1. It's been an even match, but you're starting to see Bomgren and Marciniak really kind of get their groove, get back into it. And I was impressed at the veterans as they really kept their cool as things were not going well and have somewhat turned it around. And seems like the momentum is on their side. And it'll be interesting to see how Brewster responds right now. For Kyle Friend, who's 33 years of age, he's the veteran on the squad. He has to keep the youngster calm, even though he's going to be targeted.
Friend with another big jump serve from the bad side over to Bomgren. Good dig by Brewster. Friend's got to chase that one down.
Ooh, Cuddy, what a shot.
But Bomgren with the fall-away cut shot into the wind just in front of Brewster. And a good side out by Bomgren Marciniak that time.
Yeah, I don't know what Marciniak's doing right now. He's setting Bomgren really wide out to the antenna, and he's got to deal with that wind. And remember, Bomgren's a lefty, so that set needs to be way further inside. He did back-to-back sets that were wide, almost unhittable, and Bomgren did his best to try to just keep those in play.
The jump serve goes out of bounds to the inline. Easy side out, kind of lets Brewster off the hook that time. Bomgren doing a nice job, though, dealing with the Marciniak setting like you just touched on, Dane. That time looked like the set got a little wide and off as well.
Yeah, Marciniak's usually a really great setter. Not using his hands right now, bump setting, and he just bumps in a little too wide, especially with the wind. Fortunately for him, he's got an athletic partner in Bomgren.
There's a big block by Marciniak, sealing that line with his blocking hands and cutting it off for a block point.
Yeah, I think he was tired of hearing me talk about his wide sets right there, and gives a stuff down right now. One of the best blockers on tour, Marciniak is, and he is so good because he has that ability to make those real late moves.
Bomgren missing their second serve from the good side here. Gives another easy side out over to Friend and Brewster. But Kyle Friend gives it right back. Just so calm and collected as Bomgren on defense gets a huge scoop and then turns it for a point.
Yeah, really great deception by Bomgren converting right there. And if you're Bomgren and Marciniak, you got to be thinking to yourself, we are extremely pleased to be in this position at 14 all when they were down 9-3 early on, but they have completely turned this thing around. And now, even though it's tied at 14, it's Bomgren and Marciniak with the momentum.
Continuing to work on Brewster. Kyle Friend goes on two, though, back to the corner and gets the side out. There's some of his hometown fans in the stands there cheering him on. Born and raised in Boca Raton, about an hour away here from Fort Lauderdale. Timmy Bomgren hammering that ball at Kyle Friend as he drops off the net.
God, look how springy Bomgren is, how quick he gets from the sand to get up and then to elevate with that vertical leap. And you don't want to leave an open net for Tim Bomgren.
Yeah, Tim, one of the more athletic and dynamic left-handed defenders on the tour. There's some good range from Tim Brewster going with the extreme cut shot.
I really liked how he got his feet under the ball, did everything he could, and then he sacrificed his body running into the pole. But like you said, Matt, an extreme cut shot. That one not easy.
Nobody out there. Marciniak with the put away, 6-all.
It was an interesting choice to serve over to Marciniak and test him out, but a good side out nonetheless by Piotr and Tim. And Brewster squeezing that ball past the block and down the line for a big point. Hold on a minute.
Wow.
It's an extra whistle, it sounds like.
Wow, he elevated and he just crushed that ball. There was just a small alley down the way, but I believe they're calling the ball out of bounds or a touch.
I think that ball might have made contact
no.
with the antenna. Nonetheless,
Yeah,
it's called out of bounds, and Bomgren and Marciniak have taken the lead, and Brewster Friend decided to call their timeout.
Yes, it looked like just an amazing hit. You know, Marciniak only gave Brewster just a sliver of an alley to hit. It looked like a spectacular hit, but somehow that ball must have just brushed the antenna. And remember, if any part of the ball even barely touches the antenna, it's ruled out of bounds immediately.
Well, you notice that Brewster went for that wide set also as the lefty, as we get a chance to look at our updated statistics here. The athlete analytics, 34-inch jump on the side of Timothy Brewster. Man, it must be nice to be 22 and jump that high out of the sand, Dane.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And he's just 6 feet, so he has to have that jumping ability. And to be able to get out of the sand like that is impressive. And that's why this youngster, Tim Brewster, is going to be a player to watch as he continues to get more and more experience each and every point that he plays.
Tim Brewster reminds me of another 6-foot left-handed defender from back in the day, the one and only John Mayer. Jumped pretty well out of the sand himself, had some extreme angles with that left-handed whip that he had.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I love watching left-handed players. They just look like they're mechanically more sound. I love Bomgren's swing. We're seeing Brewster. We're mentioning John Mayer. And, you know, it's just when you have that lefty, it seems like the mechanics just look a little bit smoother than right-handers. That's why I always love to see the athleticism of those lefties.
Definitely fun to watch a left-handed player. Tricky to block against, but fun to watch for sure.
Bobby Flanagan.
Brewster trying to find the hands again that time, but Marciniak pleading his case that he didn't touch it. The ball goes out of bounds, and another point for Bomgren Marciniak.
Take a look at it here. Marciniak gets up, presses over. Looks like it's just out of bounds, and Brewster is going to learn the hard way maybe, but he's got to keep that ball in play because it's hard to see those touches. I don't care how good a ref you are.
Stood right down.
But he responds nicely. It comes right back with a huge cross-court hammer.
And you can tell by the body language he's not happy about losing those couple of points. He just crushes this ball, and then he makes a point to just kind of walk by the ref, not say anything. He's still a little bit displeased by those last 2 balls that were errors.
Wow, some athletic plays happening here on Stadium Court by both sides, but Marciniak hammering that ball in transition for the point.
Great play by Marciniak, comes in, snaps it straight down. It's interesting that early on in this one, it was all about Kyle Friend. He was everywhere on the court, but now Bomgren and Marciniak have kind of taken him out of the game. It's Brewster right now who's just getting everything.
And that block looks like it caught the line. Get some clarification here, but from our angle in the broadcast, it looked like that ball hit the line.
Yeah, it did, and the head referee overruled, I believe, the out call by the umpire right away, and this is going to be a point for Bomgren and Marciniak.
And it's now their first chance at set point. That violation called against Marciniak's block. So 1 set point saved by Brewster and Friend. But a tough spot now for Kyle Friend, serving from the bad side. Looks like he's going to float serve and then run up to block. And Bomgren does it, able to make something out of nothing. That set well off the net, but he turns it down the line for the point. Bomgren Marciniak, after starting out down 9-3, come back to win set number 1, 21-18. We'll take a quick break here from Stadium Court. Come right back after these quick commercials for set number 2.
Get ready for a whole new wave of White Claw. New full flavor White Claw Surf. Sensational refreshment for a taste like no other.
We all know it's a good idea to recycle. But what happens to that aluminum can or all that paper after you put it in the recycling bin? Where does it go? What does it become in its second life?
See how WM is always working for a sustainable tomorrow at WM.com/stories.
It's the choices we make that define us.
Tryon Trevor is coming off a tough, heartbreaking loss.
And ultimately, the enemy is within. Some people want it, some wish for it, but others make it happen.
Tryon Trevor, super lethal, bringing fire and passion to the court.
How will you take charge?
Good crowd on hand, Stadium Court at Fort Lauderdale, Florida for the AVP Pro Series Fort Lauderdale Open. Marciniak, Bomgren, Brewster, Friend. Here's a glance at our stats, Dane, here after set one.
Yeah, Bomgren and Marciniak winning the blocking contest. Marciniak has touching a lot of those hits, and they are hitting more efficiently, hitting 357 as opposed to 125. Brewster and Friend really started strong, but kind of cooled off midway through that set. They're going to have to sustain that fire that they came out with the entire set if they're going to keep up with these veterans. Remember, Bomgren and Marciniak played a lot together, know one another well. Veterans, they're not going to panic, so you have to exploit their weaknesses, but there's not many of them.
Now Brewster comes right out of the gates and gets a big swing from the right side to score the first point of set number 2. And you're right, Dane, can Brewster and Friend maintain that level of effort that they had to start the match off? It kind of tapered, and you saw the veteranship and experience of Bomgren and Marciniak kind of fight their way back, 1 point at a time, on plays like that to come back and win set number 1.
Yeah, still Marciniak setting Bomgren pretty wide, but you're getting to see an array of shots from Bomgren and see how cagey of a player he is. He's got pretty much every shot in his arsenal. That one, a nice little loopy to the corner.
Bomgren with a nice break on the defensive effort, but Brewster placing that one precisely in the right spot. So Dane, for Friend and Brewster, after really a dream start in set number 1, 9-3, couldn't ask for better volleyball. They had to fight their way through the rest of the set. They ended up losing set number 1, 21-18. But how did they rebound from that here in set number 2?
The big way to rebound, they got to get rid of the errors. Remember, Brewster had a couple of errors, didn't go his way. Kind of cost them in the momentum department, and Kyle Friend has kind of been silenced. He was everywhere early on in the first set. He has to be more active, take any balls in the middle, relieve any pressure he can off of Brewster, and more importantly, keep giving him good stats like that
one.
That's a great point and a great counterattack by Tim Brewster. Kyle Friend dropping off the net, Brewster getting a great dig, and then scoring the point in transition. But Marciniak comes right back with the on-2 option play.
We haven't seen that option play that much as of yet. Marciniak has that in his back pocket. He can use it any time, and with that great passing ability of Bomgren, I think they should use it even more.
Kyle Friend, though, showing his range, going high down the line with a good roll shot that finds the corner.
Here's a good look at Friend coming in, his shoulders facing cross court. Nice deception as he goes down the line.
What a pick up and play by Timothy Brewster, running down the knuckle shot over the block and then getting the scoop, transitioning again for a real point.
Yeah, using that quickness. Brewster at 6 feet is one of the shortest players in the tournament, but he makes up for it with his quickness and ability to explode out of the sand.
He follows that point up, though, with a service error after the side switch. Right when you get a little wind in your sails, followed up by a missed serve. Although Marciniak gives it right back to him, so they steal that point. Can be a little frustrating, Dane.
Yeah, it's all about consistency. When things don't go your way, that maturity you need to really kind of be calm, don't panic, and stay the course, because this game, as we know it, is a game of runs. You can give up 1 or 2 points at a time, but when you start giving up bunches like 3 or 4, that's when you get in trouble.
Well, let's see if Tim Bomgren can end this bunch of service errors from both sides, and he does. But Marciniak gets a huge block on Brewster that time.
Yeah, he's sneaky. He's very late in his move. So as a hitter, you're thinking, where is he? Where do I go? And then at the last second, you got to finally make a decision, because obviously the hitter has to hit the ball first. And sometimes you're guessing because of the late move that Marciniak makes.
Brewster to continue and save that overset from his partner. Marciniak attacks it. Brewster's able to get the dig and score, Dane.
We should remember and take notes of this play, because this is basically an overpass that crushed and put down, but somehow Brewster digs it and converts it into a point. So that could be a big momentum changer.
On the line goes the lefty.
But Bomgren comes right back, attacks down the line nicely for that side out. Friend with the second chance opportunity in that rally, but he goes off the net and out of bounds.
Kyle Friend has to be the steadying force here. He's been on tour much longer. He's been in these types of matches on center court, so he's the one who has to eliminate the errors and try to relieve as much pressure as possible from the youngster Brewster.
So this is our 11th AVP tournament in Fort Lauderdale, the first time since 2010. Stadium court action tied up at 7 points apiece here in set number 2. Brewster runs the back set and cuts it cross court for the winner.
It's crazy to think that the AVP hasn't been in Fort Lauderdale since 2010. If you're wondering who won back in the day, in 2010 it was Nicole Grana and Misty May Trainer winning on the women's side, and on the men's side it was Furbringer and Lucena. So to think 12 years absence for the AVP, because I remember playing, you know, way back in the day, and this was one of the most popular events on tour, not only from the players but the fans as well. So it's really awesome to be back.
Certainly is. Fun fact, I played in my first qualifier ever in Fort Lauderdale. Lost to one of your former teammates from Pepperdine, Chip McCaw, in the second round. But a great volleyball culture here in South Florida. Fort Lauderdale, Deerfield Beach, Miami, all located so close together, and good crowds on hand for some of the best beach volleyball in the world here in Fort Lauderdale this weekend. Marciniak takes care of that one on the counter attack and transition, driving it past Kyle Friend's block to tie us up at 9 points apiece. So a little back and forth action here in set number 2, Dane.
Yeah, we expected more of this back and forth because this is number 12 and number 13, very evenly matched teams. The big question is, how's Tim Brewster going to handle it? I think he is the X factor. They're going to test him. Bomgren and Marciniak are going to test Brewster as much as possible. And then how much can Kyle Friend relieve some pressure and really kind of steady the youngster?
There's a glance at our data statistics as Kyle Friend gets some medical attention. Looks like he might have opened up a scab on his elbow there, and got to get that cleaned up before we can continue action here from Stadium Court. But you make a good point, Dane. Kyle Friend needs to be that player on this team that can stay steady, show the experience, and try to level out his young partner. Meanwhile, for Bomgren, Marciniak, their analytical statistics on the effort they're putting out here on Stadium Court.
Yeah, Kyle Friend just from down the street in Boca Raton, so this is kind of a home court advantage for him. You want to use all of the advantages that you can, and it's going to be, I think it's a close one. I would not be surprised if this one went down to a third set because of how even these teams are. But it's going to be interesting. Who's going to use the wind and the elements a little bit more? Like we said earlier, the wind blowing at about 15 miles an hour. There's definitely a good side and a bad side. But ideally, that good side is when the wind is blowing in your face, when you can just crush the ball and it'll still end up in. Whereas the bad side, the wind's at your back and you barely hit it and it goes long. So both teams have been trying to use that good side to their advantage, and they've been doing a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, the wind factor, obviously, always something that both teams have to handle. As it looks like the medical attention is been completed on Kyle Friend's right elbow. Thumbs up from him, and we're set to get back to it here from Stadium Court in Fort Lauderdale. And just like that, Kyle Friend goes for the option play. Drives that ball back to the corner and gets that 1-point advantage back to his side.
I really like that play, my friend. Take as much pressure as you can off by really taking advantage of any open shot.
Now, but Bomgren responds nicely with a big attack from the left side.
Bomgren has such a quick arm. Look at his angle of approach. He takes a straight approach and then he crushes that ball cross body. Very difficult to block. Bomgren knew he had that one right there, but he just could not control it and get it up. A little disappointed with himself.
Well, that takes us to our 21-point technical timeout with Brewster and Friend clinging to that 1-point advantage here in set number 2. Here's a glance at what's on tap for the rest of the day here from Stadium Court. Next up, it'll be another men's contender bracket game. Billy Allen and Jeremy Caseby are taking on Paul Lottman and Miles Partain, the young setter from UCLA. After that, a women's match. Dane, two girls that you know very well, Tina Gradina and Haley Harward, playing Cloth and Nuss. That should be a very exciting quarterfinal matchup. And then after that, another men's quarterfinal winners bracket side. Brunner Schock taking on Krabs Sander. So great action here from Stadium Court all day long. As we see team versus team stats here through this match. I love seeing the distance traveled by both players combined. That's a stat you don't always get to see through the history of beach volleyball, and pretty fun to see that number climb throughout the match.
Yeah, you know, what's really important there is Marciniak has 4 blocks, the Kyle Friend's 1, and I think that is something that Friend is going to have to improve on. I think he needs at least a couple of blocks here if they are going to be victorious.
Well, Kyle Friend a little bit on the disadvantage as the blocker here, only 6'5", kind of short on the scale of blockers here on the AVP Tour. Brewster, though, comes right back with another big swing Really running that set all the way out to the antenna, and it's working well so far, Dane.
Yeah, Brewster gets a really wide approach, and Friend's putting it up there. I think Brewster's loves those extreme angles, right? We've seen that really sharp hit, and we've seen it down the line. It's a rip of an ace down the middle by Friend, and that's what he needs to do, is to get more involved like we saw at the beginning of this match.
Yeah, we saw Friend get 2 aces early on in this match in set number 1, and that comes at a great time here in set number 2 for him. Pounds by Kyle Friend. Dane, you called it.
Great block by Friend, and he's got a smile on his face right there, but that's what has to happen. That has to become more of the norm rather than the exceptional. As you see, finally getting that block, maybe that will start a trend for Kyle Friend. Look at him jump into the angle, pressing, perfect timing. That ball goes down, and 14-11 for Brewster and Friend. They're coming back with a vengeance.
Really impressed by Kyle Friend's hand placements there on that block move. You see him staying disciplined, keeping his hands kind of right in line with his shoulders, not spreading his hands out too wide and exposing his arm or arms for the attacker to find. As we get a glance at Brewster and Friend's stats here, as Bomgren and Marciniak have called a timeout. Weather this little run here from Brewster and Friend.
Yeah, this is worst case scenario for Bomgren and Marciniak, for Kyle Friend to start getting involved right here. They had quieted him. He's back in the mix, and he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. And Brewster with those sharp extreme angles that we were referring to earlier, it's going to be tough for Bomgren and Marciniak to stop if they get hot.
Well, I think this is a really good timeout being used by Marciniak and Bomgren. Try to slow down the momentum, basically, that Kyle Friend has created now, but still enough time in this set for Bomgren and Marciniak to come back, but they have to side out here on this first opportunity. So the timeout leads to a service error from Kyle Friend. Bomgren serving now down by 2 here in set number 2. And there's a trickler ace for Tim Bomgren.
Yeah, it's interesting. Those are all veteran moves, right? Bomgren, Marciniak calling the timeout, that forcing a missed serve coming out of the timeout, and then right away they get an ace.
And then Peter gets a big block on Brewster.
And Bomgren knows how important this is right here. They double up. He jumps into the angle, and they're digging on the angle. So Marciniak with yet another block, leading the blocking category, I believe 5-2 right now. So should be interesting how this thing progresses. But the back and forth at the net could be a huge determining factor, man.
Actually, this is the only court going right now. Court number 2 finished
Well,
up.
3 straight points for Bomgren and Marciniak after that timeout that they called just a couple moments ago. They've leveled it now at 14 all, and Friend and Brewster decided to call their timeout to try to slow down the momentum. But they're going to be going over to the bad side, so it's going to be challenging for them now as Marciniak and Bomgren come back and regain that momentum that is so key here in the later stages of a set.
Yeah, it's all about the momentum, all about the back and forth. And, you know, the great teams, they don't panic. They just know that if the ball's not rolling your way, eventually it will if you stay the course. And that's what Bomgren and Marciniak have the advantage of, that veteran experience. But it'll be interesting. You can tell how hungry Brewster is. You can tell how good he is going to be and how fast that arm swing is.
Yeah, very veteran move by Bomgren and Marciniak. So tied up at 14 points apiece here. Marciniak Bomgren looking to make another comeback to take this set and possibly the match here in 2 sets. But there's a good response from Brewster going for the back set, hammering that ball cross court for the winner.
Yeah, I really like how fast his arm swing is, and I love the extreme angles he can hit. It's just going to be a consistency game as he progresses, keeping that ball in, knowing when to go for winners, knowing when to keep the ball in the court.
And Bomgren comes right back with a side out of his own. Brewster making a break to the line, and that ball just catching him up high a little bit. There's a chance for Bomgren now. And he gets it high off the hands. That is a huge point for Bomgren Marciniak.
And that's what Bomgren does so well. Not only does he get the dig up, he's able to convert into transition, go from defense to offense very quickly. And they're up 16-15. And this thing could get interesting right here. Friend and Brewster have to settle in and get the side out.
And Brewster changing up his approach line, coming straight through the middle again and turns it back to the line nicely. So showing some resolve after giving up a point, comes right back with the side out. But Bomgren responds with his own left-handed attack through the middle. So a little back and forth here between the two lefties.
Yeah, Bomgren's footwork is so good. Depending where the set is, he always gets his feet under the ball, and that's what makes him so effective.
And that time Brewster comes right back with another attack, that time going off of Marciniak's block and up into the crowd. Brewster friend now tied at 17s, but behind on the advantage. Can Marciniak get the side out? But Friend shuts it down with the block.
We talked about Friend having to step up, and that's exactly what he does right here. Takes his time. And the problem with that offense right there, you see how Friend was waiting. He didn't have to move left or right. He stayed in the same blocking position, went up and stuffed the ball. You got to move that blocker laterally, and that's what Bomgren and Marciniak did not do on that play.
So the business end of set number 2 now, Dane. 18-17, Brewster with that 1-point advantage. And he'll serve from the good side. Marciniak responds with a big swing cross court.
A little confusion on who will serve. Very important though right now, and important that this is a tough serve. You don't just want to keep this one in. You want to go for it, put some pressure, maybe try to get them out of system.
Brewster with a wide set, good touch. Bomgren chases it down, will get it over. And Kyle Friend takes advantage of the counterattack opportunity and scores with that high line shot.
Smart play by Kyle Friend right there. After a spectacular defense, Bomgren one-handed stab, keeps it alive. And then here comes Friend, takes a look at the defense. It's in the angle, so he goes line and hits a really clean line shot just on the outside of the line.
Kyle Friend really had to thread the needle that time. Bomgren was in the area, but couldn't make a move for it. It's now 19 serving 18 here in set number 2. Good look at the blocking strategy there from Brewster's hand signals. But Tim Bomgren sees the defensive setup and finds the corner for the point.
Yeah, this is what it's all about. This is where it gets a little pressure packed. I would imagine they're going to try to put some pressure on Brewster and see how he responds. They go to Friend.
That is a huge swing from Timmy Bomgren. But let's not discredit what his partner just did. Hit the tip on the block and then plays it up on 2 perfectly for his partner to score. Just like that, Dane, it's match point now for Bomgren Marciniak. Kyle Friend looking for fingers. Called out of bounds, but the touch is confirmed by Marciniak, so a point for Friend and Brewster.
That was the worst sell by Marciniak right there. He didn't know what the call was. Bomgren was trying to get him to celebrate, but I think he knew he was guilty of the touch, and that was pretty funny.
So we're tied at 20s. Overtime action, but Brewster misses his serve into the net. You don't like to see that, Dane, and a chance from the good side of missed serve to give another match point over to Bomgren Marciniak.
Yeah, and if I'm Bomgren Marciniak, I know you scored a lot off of Friend, but I'm going to test Brewster because of his inexperience.
Nice dig by Bomgren. Here's a chance. Tight set, though. Oh, Marciniak gets it with the trickler attack option play. Another comeback victory for Bomgren Marciniak, getting the win over Timothy Brewster and Kyle Friend here in the contenders bracket. We'll move on to play Weber Hyden later in the day. Brewster and Kyle Friend going home with a 13th place finish here in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, and they fought hard right there. It just wasn't their day. The ball wasn't rolling their way, and they came up against some seasoned veterans who played some solid volleyball once they got on track. And there you see the great sportsman in Tim Bomgren, such a great player. And a little disappointment on the other side. They're going to have to go back, watch the video, and clean it up for next time.
Here's our waste management serve of the day coming from Kyle Friend. Right down the middle for one of his 4 service aces in the match. Waste management serve of the day, and that'll do it here. We'll get a quick glance at our statistics. That match has concluded. Here's our statistics, Dane. Any takeaways for you here on these statistics after that match?
I was impressed with how Kyle Friend turned it on in the end. He had 3 total blocks. The team of Friend and Brewster also had 3 aces. They were right there, you know, just tweaking a couple things, keeping consistent, and they're going to be in the late rounds in the future tournaments, no question about it. But they have to learn from their mistakes, and the only mistakes were just a few consistencies, few calls didn't go their way, a few touches, but just keep the focus. I really like that team. I like the athleticism, and I like the tenacity.
A great match by Tim Brewster and Kyle Friend for sure, but back to the drawing board for them, and congratulations to Marciniak and Bomgren getting the win and moving on to the next round. That'll do it for us here on Stadium Court. For Dane Blanton, my name is Matt Prosser. Thanks for joining us. Come back for more later on throughout the day. Next matchup, another men's contender bracket in just about 5 minutes.